Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to Apex Online Racing Season 17, and this is the final round, Round 7 here at Kyalami. Drivers will be racing into the night for this, the final round, brought to you by our lovely Patreon members. And immediately in qualifying, you can see the two main chargers in this championship, Aiden and Jardier, or sorry, Aiden Walsingham and Jardier. They are currently, oh goodness gracious, there was nearly a big incident immediately there. So, but yes, I'm here, and I am Tim360 Lun, and I'm joined in the booth again by Martin. Good evening, Martin.
Yeah, hello everyone, Martin Battles once again here. So it will be a good fight, I think, between those two. So it seems that already in the qualification they're trying to scratch each other's car, maybe to be a bit slower, because in the free practice we saw that their pace is quite faster than all of the other ones, and they're fighting with each other. So yeah, maybe they're trying to reduce the gap between them and the other drivers on having some minor issues on the car. So let's see.
Yeah, kind of surprised they're both doing this. I kind of feel like this is intentional between them. It could only be intentional, because there's no way they would be fighting like this. This is the outlap. They've got no reason to squabble. Neither of them are on a flyer. So I don't entirely know what's going on between them.
I think they're in the same voice call, and they're just having fun with each other, and that's it.
Yeah, I see. I know.
They also feel that it's the final race of the season. So
Yeah, so I know Jardier does not like Kyalami. It's going to be a dark Kyalami as well. Obviously, qualifying, luckily, is only 6 p.m. I know they actually brought the time of the race forward significantly, because I think originally it was going to start at something obscure like 10 o'clock at night in-game. So I think there was lots of concerns about just how dark it would be, as it's not the best lit circuit in the world. And makes it certainly very hard to commentate on when you can't see anything but headlights. But at the moment, nobody has set a flying lap yet, but Kumpo, car number 256 for Rebound Racing, it is our first driver out there on a flyer. So this is going to be the benchmark to work from. But as you said, Martin, the two drivers that really dominated first practice, they were Aiden Walsingham and Jardier. So I have to see how it goes. Can they replicate it here? Will they stop squabbling and actually start to lap? It does look like they've split themselves up a little bit on the circuit now, looking at the circuit map. Just trying to work out. Yes, they've at least given each other some breathing room. It must be a case of kind of, as you said, showing off a little bit and just having a good bit of banter, a bit of pre-qualifying fun, which is always good to see. Drivers, even though they are battling it out for the championship, it is very good to see them actually still having fun with each other. Right, so Kumpo setting the first flying lap with a 140.9. Let's jump on board actually for a flyer. So right onto the dashboard of this one, down towards turn 1. Hard on the brakes, swing it in. Could be quite a few different lines I imagine we see through here tonight, depending on traffic. All the way around, now into turn 2. Up through, avoiding the sausage on the inside edge. Again, another place where lots of incidents can happen. You get a little bit too far out, clip the grass, and as we know, rules equals crashes, so not the biggest amount of runoff here in this first sector. And this long right-hander, getting on the throttle again, hard now, on the brakes, just past the 50 line, swinging it into the left-hand side, avoiding that curb, trying not to get too much exit, a little bit wobbly. Now on the brakes again, swinging it in, just holding on as he comes through the S's. Now up the hill. This is one of the hardest corners, I think, at this circuit coming up. It's a blind crest, bit of a double apex weird corner. You can either go deep and then go tight in, or you can try and go for sort of a double apex here. But now flat out down the hill. Going to be full commitment here from the drivers. No lifting as they enter the left-hander. Fully committed, good chunk of inside curb being used there, then hard on the brakes. Right-hander again, avoiding too much curb. Don't want to go out too wide here either. That will end up starting to give you track limits abuse. Now the biggest corner, the big sausage on the inside, just avoiding it, managed to hold it together, and then hard on the brakes just after the 50 line, swinging it into the left. And one final sprint to the line, just avoiding the gravel. What is Kumpo going to do this time round? Kumpo sets a 140.790, so he currently finds himself in 6th place on the grid. the moment.
Yeah. I'm very carefully watching the Lucio with the Ferrari, as I have also the last race of the season tomorrow. So I'm trying to understand where are the things where I can prove from his onboard right now.
Trying to gain as much info as you possibly can. Having a look at the timing board now, it was a 1:30. Oh, well, there you go. A massive improvement by Giardia. It was 0.7 quicker, a 1:39. So the first driver, I believe. Oh no. I say the first driver. He was the first driver into the 1:39s, but swiftly followed by Aiden, who we are currently keeping an eye on right now, who has also found himself in those 1:39s. No one else been able to do it quite yet. Let's have a jump on board with Christian Ranieri. I think it's the first time I have seen a Mustang race round here at Kyalami, so interesting to see how that chassis does here. It's I wouldn't say perfectly suited to Kyalami, but there's plenty of high-speed areas, so it should really be able to like stretch its legs, really get the V8 working and seeing what it can do. Oh, I just realised we had a poll going earlier on in the chat, and I need to double-check that one. I had a little poll going just to see who people thought, and so we're going to end it now, so no one else can vote on it during qualification. But it was 62% of people think Jardier is going to win the championship, and only 37% think, oh, big moment there for Ranieri. So throws away that lap. He'll be disappointed in that one. But yeah, only 37% think that Aiden can try and pull it back. And as you said, it really is a bit of a challenge to try and take away the win from Jardier. Obviously, I think he's got 63 points up at the moment, so it's going to take some serious doing. Here we go, Naldi running in third place. There's another one of the Mustangs doing quite nicely. Just trying to see if there's anyone out there on sort of a whopping improvement anywhere. Oh, Sandre, actually, in the honkers, in the bonkers honkers Bentley. He's having quite a good lap at the moment. Nearly half a second up on his lap time, so this should be a fairly decent effort. Obviously significantly down at the moment. He's in 18th place. But as he comes across the line, what are we going to see? Up into 13th place. Very nice. So just outside the top 10. Sort of just starting to creep around those areas as we speak. Lots of people, I think, have gone back in for tyres and have come back out again. Oh, and Honkers... Sorry, not Honkers. Sandre deciding to abandon it for now. Naldi still improving, running in third place at the moment. I don't think it's going to be enough to gain another grid position, but it should open up the gap behind him to Valentin Barrier just a little bit. Although actually, he's found a decent chunk of time there. He was up 2 points of a second. So let's see what he can do. Coming down now towards the final corner, hard on the brakes, swinging it in. Can he find a little bit more? Trying not to go too wide. That's about as far out to the side of the circuit as you could possibly go. And stays in third place for now. Oh, and abandons the lap at the end of that. So obviously feeling like that was about as far as it could go. Here you go. Valentin Barrier for Veloce Esports. There's one for you, Martin. It's another one of the Ferraris.
Yeah.
Let's jump on board the dash. You can get a really good idea of what's going on.
Yeah, it's as I just said, the famous sausage curve corner right there, and we see that there's a car ahead. I think that's Aiden. That's maybe he was trying to get the gap in front of him, but Valentin Barrier is finishing with the fastest time. It's only how it's called in English. Very small margin, let's say.
Yeah, that is ridiculous. So 0.002 of a second. I don't even know. I don't know how to put that into words. What would that be?
Tens, then it's hundreds, then it's thousands, so 2,000ths of a second.
Yeah, it must be 2,000ths of a second. So that is absolutely crazy. You think the top three drivers are within 100th of a second of each other. Jardier is back out at the pits and is now trying to push to find some time. This is his out lap, so we're not going to see anything wild from him at the moment. Aiden, I believe it is on a flyer, and he is improving on his time. So we'll try and see what he can do. Let's move away from that camera, because every once in a while the old drone camera just basically completely loses any idea of where on the track the car is. You lose all the sort of the lovely background that ACC provides. But absolutely flying now.
I think in the free practice they were able to do 1:39.5. So that was also the difference what they made to the others. So basically Aiden and Jordier was able to make 1:39.5 and others were making 1:39.8 and something. So we can see that right now Jordier and Aiden is not able to put in the same times as they did before, and as I'm saying it, Aiden is setting the fastest time in the qualification right now. It's 1:39.790, so it's just a little bit faster than Valentin Barrier right now. So let's see, but also of course we need to take in account that there's a bit different conditions that they had in a free practice, because free practice is on the same time as the race will start. So most probably it's more the track is colder. So right now it's a bit more warmer, but at least from the yesterday's practice race, I was expecting that the temperatures will drop more, and we'll need to put much more higher the tire pressures for the race than it was in the qualification. But there was almost none of the difference. So really small margin. So the track will not get much colder, the same as the air and the track as asphalt itself. And as Tim already said, that we will start this race in the kinda sunset, or I don't know, maybe sun is already went down, and after around 15-20 minutes in the race it will be almost fully dark. So I think for the guys that will try to climb up some positions, it's much easier to do it in the first 15 minutes than afterwards, because in the dark it's everything is much more closer and the distance is much harder to measure. But the cars has quite good lighting, so it's still okay. I understand, let's say, the decision made on to start it faster because of the start and stuff. But yeah, I think it will be interesting, and I think it's also the first. Yeah, what I'm saying. So I have driven all of the rounds, so it will be the first one, the night race in this season. So yeah, it will be interesting for the drivers, I think, and also something interesting for us as spectators. And maybe before the last laps is they're putting the last laps, I can tell about the BOP. So you have more understanding on which cars are the usual fastest here. So Aston has plus 16 kilograms, Mustang plus 15, McLaren plus 11, BMW plus 6, Audi plus 3, Porsche plus 2, Mercedes plus 1, Ferrari 296 minus 2, Lamborghini Huracan minus 4, Nissan minus 13, Honda minus 17, and Bentley minus 18. So basically it's a 33 kilogram difference from Aiden's car to Jardier's car from their, let's say, base weight or original weight, race weight.
It's definitely going to make a difference as well. Obviously, it should keep them all incredibly level, but yeah, it's great to see, obviously, that the ever-changing... Oh, there we go. We're now starting to see some quicker times from Aiden. I've just noticed there, a 1:39.5. So as you were saying, that's pretty much the kind of pace we were seeing in practice. And Valentin Barrier and Jardier have not been able to respond to those kinds of times. In fact, none of them are on improvements really either. And we were just on board with Buzov, who just got himself up into 10th place. Going to jump on board with Christian Ranieri, who is running in 6th at the moment. And I think, again, last lap, around this kind of time, he was 0.2 up on his lap time, but then he threw it away by going a bit wide through the S's. And I think that is immediately what's happened. We've cut to him just as he's made a mistake. Oh, Jardier is on an improvement now, so we will stick with Jards. obviously being one of the main championship contenders and our current championship leader coming into this battle. So he is improving. He finds himself in third place on the grid at the moment.
Yeah, but
Obviously,
it seems that he will be able to grab maybe 1.5 tenths. So it could be enough to put himself in the top row and in the second position. But I don't think that he will be able to get the Aiden's time, because I think his time already was quite good. So to win that much, it will be quite hard for him. And right now, yeah, he's 1.5 tenths faster than his fastest lap before. Right now it's even the margins getting smaller and smaller, but I think it should be enough for him. Yeah, it will be enough for him to get him onto the second position.
I think that's going to make a big difference as well, because obviously you think Walsingham for Veloce and also Valentine Barrier for Veloce Esports. So although there won't be necessarily team orders, but you would imagine that Valentine would have definitely tried to keep his car as wide as possible to avoid any kind of advantage for Jardier. As we were saying, I think last week we worked it out that Jardier needed to finish 10th or lower, and Aiden needed to win. I think that's what we were saying is the only way that the championship can fall away from his hands. So we'll have to wait and see. So it is possible, but just not very probable. We'll say that.
There is only two opportunities, I would say. Firstly, if there would be any technical issues, and the second one, if we have any assassin on the grid. So there's only two things, I think. Otherwise it's quite hard, especially when checking this year's results, right? So let's maybe run through the grid fast, and then let's check also the overall standings as. For example, Jardier, he has got 3 first places, 2 second places, and 1 fifth. So basically, he haven't been lower than the 5th position. And for Aiden, he has 3 wins, 2 second places, and then when 1 race he was not able to participate because he participated on site in one of the big events this year. So I think it's very hard to. It's there's almost none of the odds that how Jardier can finish lower than 10th position, especially if, starting on the 2nd place. So yeah, it's a really hard thing. So
we say that, but
let's see.
He's
It's
going to be on the
60-minute
outside
race.
for turn 1. sometimes it causes huge issues. Right, let's have a quick run through the grid as it stands for now then. So Aidan Walsingham in pole position. Joining him on the front row is Jardier in 2nd place, Valentine Barrier in 3rd, Naldi in 4th, Gulliet in 5th place, Zoo in 6th place, Ranieri in 7th, Kubaki in 8th place, Jorge in 9th, Dorba in 10th, Kumpo running in 11th, Buzov in 12th, Matt York 13th place, Melvin Crows 14th place, Victor Martin 15th, Walter Billen 16th place, Jonathan Clifford down in 17th place, Delucia in 18th, Poggy 19th, Sandre in 20th, Lawrence in 21st, Fazakas 22nd, Auselin 23rd, Savage 24th, Craig Law in 25th, and Remy Papp in 26th. Both those drivers serving qualification bans, so that is why they have start from so far back. Martin, do you have access to the current championship standings?
Yeah, for sure I have.
Fantastic. Seeing as we still have 1:13 to the cars even consider moving, do you want to have a quick rundown, at least through the top 10, just so people have a bit of an idea of what's going on? Because sometimes they just show up for the racing and they have no idea what is at stake. Oh, he's gone very quiet.
Yes, sorry.
Oh, that's all right. Sorry, I panicked for a minute then. I was like, everything's gone very, very silent.
Yeah, I muted myself, unmuted and muted once again. So yeah, so then let's start on the overall standings. With my biggest disappointment this evening, when I came into the practice session, I didn't see Michael Thomas there, and we were in the last race for the last 10 minutes. We were talking about this fight, how interesting it will be, and it seems that Michael was not able to participate today. So that's yeah, really a shame that happened. But the standings, so leading the championship after 6 stages right now is Jaroslav Honzik, aka Jardir, with 541 points. Then on the second place, as we said, he was not able to participate in one of the events, Aidan Walsingham, so he's losing 65 points. Then on the third, Matteo Naldi, and on the fourth, Michael Thomas, losing only 2 points to Matteo Naldi. So if he would be up today, so that would be very interesting, because in who of them will get the higher position that would want the, let's say, finish in the top 3 in the overall standings. But yeah, unfortunately we will not be able to see that fight. In the fifth, Remy Papin, losing 48 points to Matteo Naldi already, and especially as he got qualification ban and he needs to start from the back of the grid, it will be really hard for him to catch up. On the sixth position, Josh Waring. On the seventh, Pasquale De Lucia. On the eighth, Christian Raineri. On the ninth, Nikola Buzov, and on the 10th position, Victor Martin. So yeah, we have a quite big split of the cars also in the top 10. I'd say that's always interesting to check when we are using the BOP, right? So in the top 10 we have 1 Honda, we have 2 Aston Martins, we have 1 Bentley, we have 3 Mustangs, 2 Ferrari, and 1 Mercedes. So that's how the BOP works, right? So yeah, everyone can drive their favorite car.
Speaking of the BOP, running in 8th place at the moment is the Nissan GTR, which, I mean, outside of custom BOP, when was the last time you ever saw the Nissan GTR being able to be competitive? Especially at this level as well. Like, you really think sort of, you know, maybe just in a public lobby where it's very, very mixed sort of, you know, skill levels, you might have a GTR that's doing really well. But yeah, it's amazing to see how the BOP is working. As obviously you were saying in the championship, what cars are there in the top 10? You think we've in the top 10 just on getting ready for the grid? Here we've got Aston Martin, Honda, Ferrari, Ford, McLaren, Nissan. We've even managed to get one of the Lamborghinis in there, which is it's quite nice to say. A few seasons ago, before the custom BOP, the Lamborghini was very, very popular if you could manage to run it with no traction control whatsoever, which a couple of the top lads did, and they were very, very consistent and quick in them. But yeah, the risk was very, very high. So cars starting to stack up in side-by-side formation, ready for 60 minutes of racing here at Kyalami. 1 mandatory pit stop, and you have to change tyres. No refueling allowed. It should be a very good one. Again, it's one of those pits where it's quite easy to make a mistake because the pit board is so close to the entrance of the pit. You really do not have much time to get on the brakes and get stopped. But this is it, the final run to the line. Most of the drivers should be round the final corner when the lights go green. Aidan got himself a little bit further in front. He's holding on to that position quite nicely, waiting for the green light. Here we go for the final time this season. And the lights do go green. Off we go. And already Jardier looking to try and get up the side. Naldi already up the side. Valentine barrier as well. Maybe going to try and go around the outside at turn 1. We saw in the beginning of qualifying they did side by side for a very long time, but let's see if they can do it again. Everybody appears to have made it through turn 1 without any major issues. And for now, everybody, the stream of cars, absolutely fantastic. A few side by side. Very brave stuff to go side by side there. Most cars made it through. I can't see any yellows. And I think that was... Oh, no, we do have a yellow flag. The 999 car with the yellow flag. That was Jonathan Clifford. We're not going to go back for that. But I think that's been on that exit of the Is that the no? Is that barbecue or crocodile? I always forget. There's so many obscure names here. But end of sector 1. So now Jonathan Clifford recovering, and he's got a bit of a catch-up job to do now. Right, let's jump back into the action a little bit. Let's see what we've got mid-pack. We've got Joe Dorber for Rebound Racing, currently running in 9th place. Very closely being followed by Jorge. In fact, at the point where he's going a little bit defensive, I just noticed we've got both the Banana Racing. I can't even think of the word. What is the word? Mercedes. That's the one I was looking for. I just could not get the words out. But there we go. The 2 Banana Racing guys, they are there. I say Banana Racing. It's Sector Blitz Racing or Sector Banana Racing. And thank you to all the love in the chat as well. Enjoying seeing all the people getting involved. And a shout out for Yorkie. Yes, do like a bit of Yorkie. And there he is actually, right on the edge of the screen. He's actually going for a move as well. He is... Has he just lost a position or gained a position? Oh, well, there we go. He might lose a position to the inside now. No, he doesn't. Hold on to it.
Yeah, I was looking at the Clifford's replay, and that was really unfortunate for him. One of the big black Bentleys in this particular corner went a bit too wide, and say driving into his back a bit and spun him over. So yeah, really unfortunate for him.
Luckily, live stewarding obviously going on, so if the stewards deemed someone else was at fault, they will be getting a slap on the wrist for that one. I noticed Kubaki went very deep and off into the gravel and has lost quite a few positions. Now finds himself down in 12th place, and he's got Buzov right behind him, and Buzov's teammate has lost a position as well to Victor Martin. The Ferrari is pushed on past the Mercedes. Battle at the front is still absolutely raging on. Valentine Barrier is caught up with the back of them as well and is starting to look aggressive there. Naldi as well, not letting anybody get away, and so is Gouliot as well, looking very, very close together. This train of cars have yet to break away at all. And I think someone said in the chat, wouldn't it be rather embarrassing if all the Veloce drivers took themselves out? It would be a little bit, wouldn't it? It would be a little bit. Actually, I'm pretty sure Jardier does race for Veloce, but he always just runs his community livery instead, as opposed to the Veloce livery. Oh, kind of an 801 with a yellow flag as well. That was Savage. Oh, that is a very broken car. Let's try and go back 10 seconds. It wasn't far enough. It wasn't far enough. Martin, if you can spot what happened there, I'm going to vote that was a sausage curb incident. It can only be.
Yeah, that's I think that we even don't need to see it. So basically, either that's a sausage curb, either it's too wide, then trying to get back onto the power and put himself into the right wall. So that's a typical problem in this race, and especially when we saw where his car ended up and in what damage. I'm 90% sure that that's the case, and he went straight into the pits.
Yeah, I think pretty good money would be put on that one. I'm just trying to see where the 2 drivers that weren't able to qualify are. So at the moment, Craig Law down in 23rd place. Remy Papin, who also obviously came in with a qualifying ban, is doing a lot better and now finds himself up, and he actually is about to gain another position. Goes to the inside of Delucia. A little bit of paint rubbing. Oh, a little bit more of an elbows out moment there as well. Delucia not wanting to give up the position, and obviously Remy Papin as well not wanting to relinquish his attack. He's going to be on the outside here. Maybe go for a bit of a switchback. He might get a bit of run off the corner. Can't quite do it at the moment, and he has got the Honkers Bentley right behind it. I keep just hearing the telltale hiss of tyres going through gravel. Oh, big dive into the final corner. That was always going to be very brave. And now it is proper elbows out kind of stuff. That was a little bit brave on the brakes, I think, from Remy Papin. That was always going to be a big risky move. And he is technically through, but I don't imagine Delucia is going to be overly pleased about it. And Delucia looks back to the inside. No, he doesn't. He can't quite get under there under braking and has to relinquish the position. And the Honkers Bentley going way off as well. That's Sandra in the background going way offline. trying to see
Yeah, it's
anyone else.
everything. It's everything interesting when you see those big cars, especially Bentley racing the Ferrari, for example. It looks like the big brother is coming and saying, "Hey, hey, kid, get off the way," and that's what happened also this time. So yeah, well, also quite a big bump for the Ford Mustang in this track. And I think otherwise, if we would not use a custom BOP, I would say biggest part, maybe 2/3 of the grid will drive Mustang this year most probably, because it's one of it's the fastest car right now on the ACC without the BOP. I think overall for sure, but I think that's usually happening with the new cars that have put into the game. They are usually much faster. I think it was with the Ferrari, it happened also with the BMW M4 as long as I remember, so that was the fastest car for quite a time before it was underboxed by the, let's say, developers.
Yeah, definitely that sort of case of the new cars. They always get a bit of a showcase. I think it's also to get people to move away from the cars that they are most used to driving. I say a lot of drivers will stick with a car for a very long period of time. Once they find a car that they feel comfortable in and they feel fast in, it's sort of very easy to think to yourself, I'm not going to try anything else. I know, let's say I know the Mercedes works for me. I'm just going to keep using the Mercedes. So when they come out with a new car, I understand why they do it. They make it a little bit more enticing to be like, come on, come away from one car and try another one. Aiden is really, really pushing. Sorry, just noticed that we're looking at this front end battle that is super, super tight. It's bumper to bumper between these three. Had a big load of gravel then, but didn't see a yellow flag. Do you know what we haven't had this season, Martin? I don't think we have had the ACC sound sniper, where you just get an almighty bang, like a gunshot that goes off, and we lose all sound and it slowly comes back in, which I've only ever had while commentating. I've never had it while I'm actually racing. But have you ever come across that? The ACC sniper, where it's just this, it sounds like someone pops a balloon or some, fires a gun off, and then just all the sound has disappeared for a few seconds, and it just slowly creeps its way back in.
No, never. It happened with my force feedback steering wheel yesterday on the Kyalami practice race when some sniper shot in my and I lost all of the force feedback for 2 or 3 seconds. But that's happening sometimes, but not with the sound. No, that's something new. Maybe I have heard it, but I never remember that it happened for me.
Yeah, it's quite an odd thing that happens. I've just noticed Ranieri down in 10th place. He was running the fastest lap of the race. Aiden has now just taken that away on the lap that's just been completed. But I'm now noticing that Mustang looks pretty much like it's taken an absolute beating. The front end and the sides are looking very battered. So I wonder if maybe he's had a little bit of a rub with someone and has then lost a few positions, because he definitely was not in this battle. He was much further up the grid. He was sort of more the sort of top 5, that kind of area. So not sure what has happened to that car, but yeah, Ranieri was doing very, very well and was right up there at the pointy ends, and now finds himself clinging on to 10th place and trying not to drop outside the top 10.
Can we fastly? Yeah, okay. No, it's okay. That was the thing that I wanted to say, that we need to jump on.
Oh, to this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
I don't know why, but on the starting grid it seemed that Zhu is driving a Ferrari, but it was written that he's driving McLaren, but right now I can see that it's McLaren, so that was my brain freeze most probably somehow.
To be fair, it's getting dark already. They're both very similar sort of low-slung cars, aren't they? I think especially with that McLaren, it is one of the things of sometimes you're sort of, if you're looking over a rear view camera of the car and the camera's all in front of the traffic as it comes towards you, it's one of the cars that can just disappear behind others, and especially when it gets to sort of the nighttime races, it is the kind of car that can almost hide behind a competitor. And so you're looking in your mirrors, you're thinking, okay, I've got one car behind me that's battling for position, and then suddenly out of nowhere, there's the McLaren. It just appears alongside as well. It's quite a low-slung proper, well, it is a proper race car, isn't it? It's quite funny when you sort of look at the differences between things like, say, like the Bentley and the Mustang, and even to a certain extent the Aston Martin. You know, classically they are like big GT or muscle cars as opposed to sort of, you know, thoroughbred racing cars and sports cars. And then you look at something a bit more like, say, the McLaren, the Ferrari, the Lamborghini, where they are full-blown supercars. They are race cars for the road. So it's I always find it incredibly interesting that what certain companies go for, what they decide to use as their GT racer. I think it's going to be interesting to see what Audi come out with in the next couple of years as well. Obviously, you know, for a little while now, there hasn't been any factory support for the Audi R8. So it'd be nice to see them possibly do something else. And who knows? It might even end up being one of their big saloon cars. They decide they might. Well, BMW as well. There you go, another one, another huge, great car that essentially is just a saloon car that they have somehow managed to squeeze and make into a GT car.
So you're thinking about Audi A or S8 racing? So it's like a Bentley?
I mean, it might be. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. I think it was in the British touring cars for a little while. There was a Peugeot people carrier, like literally a 7-seater that was racing, and obviously like there was the Volvo estate. So who knows? Someone might decide to do something absolutely bonkers and go for it. But it's a bit of a, obviously we were saying about the BMW earlier on. Obviously, you know, it was very strong when it first came out, and it's quite surprising that in the real life GT racing, that the BMW is still a very, very strong sort of, you know, platform to race on. But in the sort of world of sim racing, it really just doesn't seem to have hasn't held on for as long as some of the others. I mean, I'm looking at the grid now, and nothing inside the top 10. I mean, top 20 is a BMW. I don't think there's even a BMW in this race whatsoever. So interesting to see that although in the real world it is, you know, huge teams like WRT and Roa Racing as well, they're all running them, but just it hasn't transferred across to the digital realm quite so well.
I think it's in this case in the sim racing and the real life racing is maybe a bit different, because we need to take in account that here as you said already, there is a new car. Everyone is jumping to trying that new car, right? In the real world, it's not that usually when the teams are changing their cars just to try something new, or just to change. So basically they are using the one platform, and usually they're just sticking with it. But regarding the BMW, I think the thing is that BMW, I think in all of the other tiers, not tier 1 but tier 2, 3, 4, 5 for example, I think it's quite used car, because BMW is a really stable car and it's not that hard to drive with it. But I think that it's lacking a bit of the, let's say, top tier performance that is needed for these guys to be on the top and to be, let's say, to grab the last tenths of the second, right? So that's why I think we can see a lot of BMWs in the lower tiers, where there are also a lot of great drivers, but yeah, they're just not that fast on their fastest times. So that would be my guess, I would say.
Yeah,
and that's why also only few guys are driving the Mercedes, because Mercedes can be really fast, but that's a really deadly car. So that's why also a lot of guys is not let's say choosing this one, because it's really tricky to drive with it. But of course we need to ask Jardier, because I think Honda is even more deadlier car, as the same as Audi for example. So. And I can see that we have our first penalty came in, and that's the plus 20 seconds for Sandre. So that's most probably the big black Bentley what I saw in the third, or that's fourth turn, that spun over Clifford. So
yes,
I'm 99% sure that that's for that contact for him.
Yeah, can confirm. Yeah, it's 20 seconds penalty and 3 license points. And that was Sandre and Clifford getting together. Oh, another one is now coming up as well. Whether it's appearing, it will sort of slowly be appearing. but I've got the pop that has come up. 5-second penalty for car number 6, and that is Revi Papin causing a collision with car number 54 in the final corner, which actually was that incident that we were looking at earlier on, wasn't it? That was the Bentley going to the inside of, I think it was DeLucia, car number 54. Yes, it was. He made that big dive, and there was a... I said it was lots of elbows out, but obviously the stewards have deemed that a little bit too much rough and tumble. This isn't touring cars.
And you see the difference between the tier 1 and tier 2, for example. In the tier 2, it's if we compare it in our regular life, then in the tier 1 the big brother hit his smaller brother and mama came in and said, don't do that, right? So he was catched. But in tier 2 or 3, maybe where it's not the live stewarding is not there, so maybe he would be able to go through with this one.
Yeah, so obviously that's the thing. Obviously with the tier 1, the live stewarding makes such a difference, and obviously then see tier 2 and lower, it's all done post race. So it's always a little bit nerve-wracking, especially at the end of the season, because you sort of you go through what you think is going to be the winner of the championship, but they don't actually release it publicly and officially until they have actually been through all the incidents, because obviously there is a possibility that someone might win the championship on the road and then with penalties post-race might end up losing the championship. So it's always a little bit of a sort of an awkward moment, especially if you know that cars have been involved in incidents and you're sort of there having a chat with someone and congratulating them, but there is obviously the possibility that you might be, you know, in less than a week's time saying, sorry about that, you've lost it. Oh, side by side possibly into turn 1, not quite. Kumpo looking for a bit of a switchback, but not able to. He is right up the back of DeLucia, not quite able to make any kind of moves past yet, though. I think
Kyalami is a really interesting track overall, because you can drive, someone can dive in already in every corner of the track basically, but at the same time, if you have quite a similar pace, it's not that easy to get in, because you always need to brake, and then if you're that close as Kumpu is right now, so if the Lucid brakes a bit more, he can get the better exit. So yeah, it's always quite tricky to be that close as Kumpu is to the Lucia right now, because it's also much more easier to make a mistake by himself, or either to hit the Lucia or either to brake a bit more than usual, than to lose the exit speed.
Yeah, and obviously with the light starting to fade away now, it's just coming up to sort of 7:30 in-game. So we'll be racing on through further and further into the night. But yeah, the darkness is fully descending. Oh, just heard a big load of gravel. I think everybody got away with it. I didn't see a yellow flag pop up, but well, I'm going to vote. It was probably going to say Fazakas. By the way, he then went very deep on the final corner as well, but you just get the telltale hiss whenever you're watching around that area of the circuit. Oh, Poggy's just come into the pits, so I think probably what you were saying, that finding himself running in traffic and not able to find a way past, so deciding to get into the pits, try and find some clean air. At the moment, Walsingham is just starting to break away from everybody else. Giardier is holding on to it for the moment. Valentine Barrier still right there, and Naldi as well, looking to try and gain positions. Sort of a bit of a real world update, I suppose. Giardier supposedly has an injured shoulder coming into this race, so as you said earlier on, Martin, an hour's race should be okay, but it obviously depends on what his injury is like and how hard he's having to work. And also, supposedly, Walsingham has pedal issues at the moment, so it's almost slightly insulting knowing that they're not running at their best, and yet they're still there at the very front of the grid, and you know, still incredibly quick overall, even in practice. So makes me feel even worse about my snail pace that I do when I do racing. So, oh, and who's that? That is Valentine Barrier coming into the pits. So that is a very early pit for Valentine. Again, maybe thinking to himself, I cannot find a way past on the circuit, but maybe if he goes to that super early pit stop, he'll be able to get the undercut and come out and do something a bit crazy later on in the race.
That's an interesting strategy, at least from my point of view, because let's say when I did some races in Kyalami before, so I think I were able to keep the wheels okay for like 20, maybe 25 minutes, but yesterday in the practice race it wasn't that bad, maybe because of the temperature is really low. So let's see. I think for these guys for sure they are really good on managing the tires, so they will be able to manage tires for 40 minutes. So let's see if that the undercut will work well for him, because there's also, let's say, the other side of that after pits he will probably get into the back of someone, but it doesn't seem that it happened right now because he's plus 17 seconds from the Clifford. Yeah, so basically he has a free track. So let's see how it will work out, because for sure the others will go into the pits maybe few laps later. I don't think that more than five laps later. So yeah, let's see. I think he can gain some positions on that one, especially when his opponents will get out from the pits. He will already have the, let's say, the right pressure on the tires, and the tires will be warmed up already. But most probably it will pay off at the end of the race, when Valentin Sparier's tires will not be that good anymore. But of course I think it's much more easier when you're in front to protect than you're behind, maybe with a bit better tires, but you're behind. So yeah, let's see how it will work out for him. I think we will see it in the next 7-8 minutes, when all of the other drivers will go into the pits. Because right now I think it's only few drivers that have been into the pits, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But we need to take into account that Savage quite heavily damaged his car, so that's why he was in the pits already at the start of the race.
Yeah, not what you would have wanted, really. Obviously, damage early in the race. It really is one of those things, even if you're not necessarily intending on getting the overall win, you still just want the close racing action. So to have an incident early on and then have to pit and find yourself sort of hot lapping for a great long period of time, knowing that the tyres are going to be going off towards the end of the race as well, it can be very, very easy to sort of fall into that trap and just get a bit fed up. Very easy to do. Giardi set the fastest lap of the race now with a 1:40.375. So doing very nicely there. He's still maintaining the pace.
One more interesting thing I think that we have never checked, at least in this season I think, is the top speed that the drivers had. And for now Matteo Naldi has the fastest maximum speed made this track. It's 247 kilometers per hour. So basically it's yeah, and Ranieri is the second one with 246. So basically
big
that shows
incident.
that.
Sorry, I had to quickly cut you off there. We had an incident there between Zoo and Dorberg trying to go side by side through that first sector. It was always going to be brave stuff. In fact, let's go back and let's jump on the helicam. So running down towards turn 1, Dorberg quite a long way back, but goes for, see what I mean with this different line, gets himself up there, a bit of a tighter exit, starts to get a slight overlap, tries to go to the outside, and they just get together. Again, it was kind of a bit of a, I don't want to say a racing incident, but it certainly didn't look like an intentional punt.
Now it will be left as racing incident most probably, because it seemed that Dorberg did, let's say, drove a little bit too wide into the Jou, and then he was the one that also paid that. So I think that will stay as a racing incident, and unfortunate thing, of course for him.
Yeah, as you were saying though as well, like trying to find a space to actually get the car side by side, it's such a high commitment part of the circuit. Unless you are really side by side, it's always going to be difficult. Oh, and here we go, bunch of cars now coming into the pits. Zoo, Martin and Buzov. all diving into the pits. Naldi is starting to catch up with the back of Jardier, just starting to apply the pressure. I think obviously as well, you think there's cars around him have pitted. Oh, loads of cars into the pits now. Who have we got? So we got Dorber, who obviously was involved in that incident a minute ago. Clifford, Lawrence, and then obviously Zoom, Martin and Buzov that we'd already just previously mentioned.
Yeah, and with let's say finishing with the top speed, so yeah, we can really see from the top speed that the Mustang is the fastest car on the straight. And there's a fight between Fazekas and Kumpu, I think. Yeah, so it's, as you said, so it's much harder in the dark to understand, but still I think we have quite good lighting in our stream, so it's still possible to understand the cars, and that's a really tricky maneuver from Kumpu. So I think he thinks right now that he's much faster right now than Fazekas, but he needs to already to check the Sande in the back of him, because as soon as he makes a small mistake when trying to get closer to Fazekas, Sander is already there. So yeah, it's a really tricky thing, and yeah, for the top speeds, finishing that one, it seems that the Ferrari has one of the lowest top speeds, and also the same for Lamborghini. But all the other cars are almost the same, except the Mustangs that on the top speed is like 3-4 kilometers per hour faster than all of the other cars. And then there is Aston Martin 244, Honda 243. It's one another Aston 245. So it's also, of course, it depends from the slipstream, how much slipstream did you had in that particular straight, and Naldi was always behind the barrier quite closely, so that can also help for him, of course, with a bit more of a slipstream to gain that kilometer. So that, yeah, I would say the difference is not that big to count it. And also in this track, let's say there isn't that much of a straight line to get the maximum speed. For example, what you can do in the Paul Ricard or in the Nordschleife big straight, right? So then there it's the difference is much bigger.
It is the ultimate big straight when it comes to GT racing, really, isn't it? Obviously, there obviously is Le Mans, but they put a couple of chicanes in there. But yeah, when it comes to the Nordschleife, the full Nordschleife, it is that basically the final sector is just ridiculous, and the fact that it comes down to such a heavy braking zone at the end as well. Obviously, there's a couple of little twisties, but you are absolutely flat out for what feels like well, about 5 minutes, and then suddenly you're on the brakes. It's yeah, it certainly leads to some very interesting braking and overtake opportunities if they are close together. I mean, you almost see cars overtake each other on that straight, and then they swap positions, and then the person behind now suddenly finds himself in a slipstream, and they regain the place before they get to the braking zone. So it can be, sometimes it's a case of getting yourself in a tactical position before you actually enter that part of the circuit. So, you know, do you want to lose the spot knowing you can get it back with a slipstream, or sort of, you know, try and defend it as best you can?
That's I don't think there is much of a possibility to defend on the straight line and the quite wide track, right? So, but let's say in the GT3, for example, the straight is quite long, but still not that long as compared to the smaller class cars that is much slower, right? And then for sure, for those it felt like a 1.5 minute driving straight. And there's much more possibilities, as you said, that the car that have been overtaken, let's say 500 meters ago, right now has the slipstream, and then can overtake another car. So yeah, it's the exit is crucial, the last corners before that straight, to gain the maximum speed. But we had Nordschleife in one of the leagues that I'm also commenting last week. and that was an interesting thing, that the Porsche has that much slipstream that he were closing out the car in front of, but as soon as he, let's say, exited the slipstream and went left, it was that visible that the car really slowed down and he was not able to overtake at the end. So that's also you need to take in account, right? So that there are cars that let's say the straight line speed is much faster than all of the other cars, and Porsche is one of those ones that doesn't have it. For example, if you have a Porsche and if you're behind the Mustang, you almost cannot do nothing in the straight. So yeah, that's interesting, but that's why the cars differs from one to another, and also the track differs. So in some tracks it's easier to drive one car, and in other tracks it's much more easier to drive another. So that's why racing is interesting, and that's why the custom BOP is really nice.
Yeah, I think lots of people maybe they watch a bit of motorsport maybe from time to time if it's not normally their kind of thing. But I think sadly a lot of the time people's go-to in motorsport is probably going to be F1, just because it's the sort of the most famous kind of racing generally. But I also personally think it's possibly the most boring form of motorsport you can possibly imagine. Right, leaders starting to pit now. Walsingham has just come into the pit, so that he's our first driver to pit. Jardier is staying out. He has not pitted, and so has Gouliot as well, who was running in third at the time when he pitted. But yeah, I think it's one of those things that people, you might look at sort of racing and just think they're just driving in circles. What's interesting about that? But as you were saying, it's the differences in the cars, it's the differences in the drivers, especially in GT racing, obviously, and a lot of real-life GT racing. They have a driver change. There's a mandatory pit, and they have to change driver. So you might have a pro driving, and then you might have a like an amateur. Well, I say an amateur, like a gold class or a silver class. Like, it's really interesting, or a bronze to see. So you might have a car that's super dominant in one half of the race, and then it becomes a totally different flip on its head depending on the capabilities of the racer. There's so much going on, and I do think. Oh. 777, we've just seen a yellow flag. Where is 777? That is Joe Dorber. We're going to go back and see what happened there, because he's close to other drivers, but not that close. So what happens here? This is coming through the S's. About to start firing his way up the hill. Looks like there's some sort of thing going on in front of him as well. Oh, self-inflicted mistake. Just about avoids any further collision. I think that car is stalled. There he goes, gets it running again, and now manages to get it moving. But that was very, very unlucky. Just a little bit of dirt on the outside edge, and that ended up rotating the car. And obviously in the dark, much, much harder to see the edges of the circuits, especially on that part of the track where you've got that blind crest before heading into a heavy braking zone.
Yeah, and that was interesting. We saw a lot of flames and fire going on when his ground, let's say, car's ground hit the curb. So maybe firstly it seems that could be the reason, but then I thought that okay, it should not be the reason, right? But yeah, I think we can see that Valentin Barrier is in the front. So that's I think that's a big thing, right? So I saw that already when Naldi came out from the pits, he was 3.5 seconds behind him. So I thought, let's see where Aiden will come out. So that's a really interesting turn into the race. So let's see how it will work out, because Jardier is the only one that is still remaining on the track. It's 25 minutes left, and let's see the lap times, and we can see that Valentin Barrier right now is much faster than the Jardier. On the last lap he was 0.6 faster, most probably because he's as we don't need to refuel the car, so with each lap the count of the fuel is reducing, so basically the car should be faster and faster, but of course the tires is also wearing more in, and it's getting bit more tricky, bit more slippery, and that means slower, of course. So right now we can see that Valentin Barrier is on the quite new tires, but for him it's already run for 13 minutes, so that's mainly in the right temperature what you want and right where in. But I think the interesting part will start in maybe in around 5, maybe 10 minutes, when, at least from my opinion, will the tires will start to get a bit, let's say, old and a bit too much wear in, and it should get slower. But at that time, Aiden's tires will be in the best shape. Yeah, so let's see. And yeah, Jardir has a really interesting strategy right now, as it's only 23 minutes, 24, almost 24 minutes left, but he still stays on the track. And also the last lap, right now we can see they're both finished the lap, and it's once again 6/10. So it's almost the same as in the last lap. Jardir is driving 141.2, and Barrier is driving 140.6. So yeah, basically 6/10 of a difference. But it seems that Aiden is driving 140.4, and Naldi is driving 140.3 even. So yeah, that's really interesting. So it seems that already Aiden is faster. So that will be a good battle, and that could also take an advantage. So basically Jardir can take an advantage in this fight if that will start, because the guys will start to lose their pace, of course, if they will be fighting, and that will take an advantage of the Jardir, because he will be able to, at this point, not to lose more time, because right now in each lap he's losing more time. But I'm really, I wouldn't say surprised, I'm really impressed on how consistent is Jardir's at times, because he's finishing the lap, and I'm seeing, and it's like the few thousandths of a difference in the last 3 laps, because last time I think last lap was 141.210, and this one is 141.205. So basically last 3 laps he's putting the same time all the time, so he's really consistent. But we can see that also Barrier is faster and faster. Last time he did 140.3, so basically that's almost a second of a difference between these two drivers. But yeah, Aiden was even faster with 140.210. So yeah, Aiden is coming closer and closer, and there's only 3/10 of a difference between them.
Yeah, definitely starting to close up. I'm just going to quickly say that we were saying earlier on about incidents as well. There was a 5-second penalty for Savage has come through, and that was between car number 98 and 801. So car number 98 that was Lawrence, who actually, oh, there we go, we're on board, we're looking at him right now. Incident between those two, and then the incident we saw earlier on between the 214 and the 777 car, and yeah, there we go, we're seeing that the 777 was not alongside enough to be grounded in space and should have lifted. The rear wheels of the 214 were ahead of the front wheels of the 777 car, so as we saw, it was always going to be a bit of a brave move to try and go around the outside, and obviously there was no further action to be taken, because the punishment was sort of self-inflicted on that, in that respect.
It seems that Umpu lost a few positions lately. At least I saw it in the timing board, so maybe we can check. Maybe we can check him 30 seconds back. So maybe there was some yellow flags for him.
Oh yeah, went 30 seconds. It wasn't quite far enough. So whereabouts is that? That is.
That's the S's.
Yeah, it's the S's. So. Lost it on the way in, possibly, or not sure.
It seems so. The place where he was, most probably, he put himself a bit too much onto the first left-hander curb, and then he just spun out into inside. So
it's very, very easy to make some slight mistake. Annoyingly, we were still stuck in the replay, but side by side now is Walsingham and Valentine Barrier. Walsingham does go through, gets it done. And that is coming through the S's, or just coming into the S's. So you can see how dark it has become out there on the circuit now. Not a great deal of trackside lighting, if any. Giardier is in the pits, and looking at whereabouts Walsingham and Barrier are, they are going to come storming past him. I think he's going to lose quite a few positions here. I think Naldi might even get the position, to be fair, because Naldi you can still see in the back of the shot just there, like a great white shark.
I think Naldi for sure will get it, but Goulot is quite behind that one, so I think Jardier will come out in the 4th position. I will be really surprised if he will not, if he will come, let's say, the higher. But
oh,
yeah, I think we
Jard
can
stop and go. Jardio stop and go, speeding in the pit lane.
And that's what we didn't think about, and that's how you lose a championship, right?
That is absolutely devastating for him. That is, I mean, we were saying earlier on, weren't we, about the fact that it's such a short pit in, and sort of, you know, you don't have a long amount of time to get the car stopped and into the pits. And there we go, stop-go penalty. So he's going to have to get it done, or he'll be disqualified anyway if he doesn't get it done in the next 3 laps. So stop-go 30, absolutely savage. So he's going to pit from 4th place. Obviously, that's monstrous. That's basically he's going to have to do what he's already just done there, really, isn't it? He's going to have to just go in and say, drive in, stop for 30 seconds. You don't change tyres, so your tyres are then going to come out cold. He is going to be on the back foot, and he's going to have to try and find his way back up into the top 10.
We can check. So basically, his pit time was 56 seconds. So basically, he will lose 56 seconds of his time. And right now, just to do a quick math, 56 seconds. It basically means almost the last position. So in this level where the guys are really all the guys are really fast, you can be half of the second faster in the lap, but then you need to stop in the pits for 1 minute, right? Yeah, that's a drama, let's say. So I was saying that it's 2 things: technical things, and then if there's some crashes, but we didn't take into account that also these things can come in, right? And I think it also didn't come in his advantage that he did the pits as the last one, because I think he drove already that much that he was not that focused maybe on the exit, not the exit, the entrance of the pit. And as you said, so I got disqualified yesterday of the race because of that. So I came that fast that the game disqualified me. So I fully understand that the guys are speeding into the pit lane, because yeah, it's, as long as you can train it, but there could be one in the previous corner you got it a bit wrong and you're still thinking about it, right? And then you just forgot that you need to brake and where you need to brake, because it's much different than in the other tracks. So, and right now Jardier, as I said, so basically he's coming out from the pits second to last, basically in the 25th position, and that for sure right now means that if the 15 guys in front of him is not getting out from the race, it's almost impossible for him to get in front of Aiden in the, let's say, to not lose the first place in the overall standings.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much day done there, isn't it? Well, championship done. Again, we see it a lot of the time. Races are won and lost in the pits, and sadly, the championship has definitely been lost in the pits. I mean, yeah, he'd literally have to get 15 places in 15 minutes. Again, maybe if it was a public lobby full of rookies, he might be able to, but here in Tier 1, where everyone is so similar, it's going to be nigh on impossible to be able to do that. Zoo running in 11th, but possibly not for long. He's got Remy Papin up beside him, running side by side. Going to have to try and go all the way around the outside here. Who is going to be best on the aero? They're still side by side. The Bentley just about hanging on, and actually now might lose another position himself to Walter Billin. Walter Billin looking to the outside, not able to do anything there. They stay in the same order for now, but Zoo struggling to hold on to 11th place. He's got a train of cars coming up behind him. All he can hope is that the cars behind maybe start to squabble a little bit, and maybe drop off the back of him ever so slightly, but it's going to take some serious doing. I'm just seeing in the chat there as well, so, that's Ben Milden actually asking what place does Jardier need. He needs 10th place. If Aiden is in first place, he needs 10th place to hold on to the championship. So unless you're going to have a word with your drivers and cause some sort of absolutely catastrophic crash, which I hope you don't, yeah, it's going to take some serious doing. Although Buzov in 10th place, perfect place. If he can just stop everyone behind him, that would give Jars a chance. But I somewhat doubt the Sector Blitz boys are going to do anything quite that daft. But I can only imagine what the atmosphere in the Jardier stream is right now. It's probably, I know he's a very smiley man and he's a very happy racer and, you know, a great personality, but I can't imagine that it's particularly cheery right now. So this little train of cars seems to be the big one to keep an eye on at the moment. There's no sort of real obvious moves anywhere else on the circuit. This seems to be the main one to keep an eye on. We've still got Papin absolutely swarming all over the back of Zoo. And all these cars, like a pack of wasps around a child with an ice cream, desperately looking to try and get a slice of it. And it's now becoming as well Delucia and Fazakas as well, really starting to get bunched up into the back of this group. I think any mistakes that happen could really end up opening up a lot of position changes. Just under 12 minutes of racing left to go as well. I'm just seeing in the chat, Operation Banana Roadblock is in action. Well, as much as it would be slightly hilarious to see both the yellow Mercedes going side by side, and maybe get Craig Law involved in as well to try and get you all to block the road, I think that might be the end of your AOR racing career if you did actually create any kind of roadblock. But I don't imagine Aiden thought he could pull back this championship, and unless he has some kind of major issue as well, he seems to be able to hold on to it for now.
I think we saw one roadblock in the last race, right? When the two cars spun over one another and the two cars fully blocked the car.
We did actually
block the road, so it was a roadblock, and I don't think that they're banned. So you just need to be very clever on doing that. That's it.
It was sort of beautiful ballet, wasn't it? That time, last time round at Indianapolis. But
exactly.
It's a bit of a wider circuit in places, is Kyalami. I think you'd have to be very tactical about where you tried to block the racing off completely. Maybe just before the penultimate turn where the sausage is. That's probably a fairly decent place to try and do it, because the track, although it isn't technically thinner, there's only really one line through there, and if you've got a couple of cars parked there, probably it's going to cause some major issues.
The best place to do it is on the top of the hill before the basically after the S's, right? Because it's fully blind, so you can't full speed, and there are two cars standing.
Because you know how good sim racers are at adhering to yellow flags, always slowing and preparing to stop. They definitely never just stay absolutely flat all the way through yellow flags, and then usually complain that they've hit someone afterwards.
It's what's the saying? say no one never. So yeah, that's the thing. So I just that the interesting thing is that we have in the tier 1 we have drivers that are streaming their lives themselves. So I went to check the Jardier's YouTube live stream, basically just to check on when he understood it himself, and he understood it straight away that he got a stop and go penalty as soon as he entered the pits. And say my first checks showed 74 kilometers per hour that he entered the pits. So yeah, it's quite faster. And he also let's say agreed not agreed, but he asked himself, so why did he brake that late? There was no purpose on doing it. So you see, it even happens for the good racers, let's say. And interesting thing is that we don't see any lights on Nissan.
Yeah, there's no lights on the Nissan at all.
So either Nissan has drive into the wall somewhere, and that's why the lightning is not there. But why the lightning is not in let's say on behind of the car, because the game, if the car is driving without the lights, let's say without the light is just turned off, the game is disqualifying the driver in 1 or 2 laps basically. So that's interesting, but it doesn't seem that the car is slowing down, or that he's driving slower than others without the lights. So that's something interesting. Maybe as the Nissan is not that much used car, so maybe that's some glitch of the car, of the game itself, because I'm pretty sure that he will not be able to drive that fast without the lights.
Yeah, I think that's got to be.
It's a little dark.
Yeah, I think that's got to be a little bit of an ACC doing ACC things. I can't see that car is actually out there with no lights on, and obviously, as you were saying, the game will disqualify you, isn't it? Like it literally comes up with an in-game. Oh, big slide for Papin. Huge slide for Papin. Let's go back. We'll go to the helicam. So this is up through Sector 1. Oh no, sorry, this is... How far back did we go? Have I gone way too back? Yeah, that was the end of Sector 1 now. Coming up towards the flying right-hander. And obviously Remy has really been pushing that Bentley super hard, trying to close the gap up on Zoo. And so then here on the brakes, and I think he just puts his tyre ever so slightly onto the gravel on the outside edge of the grass. Managed to not pick up any damage from that, although his tyres are probably now absolutely screaming and flat-spotted. He's lost a few positions though, now finds himself back in 14th place. And just looking there, Jardier still running in 24th place. So, yeah, that is very much looking like day done with 6.5 minutes left to go.
Yeah, but I think it's one of the closest finishes of the race. Let's say compared to others. So in the last minutes, you need to find some battles. Right now we have battles almost everywhere, right? Lawrence is 5/10 off Crows. The Bilen is like on the same. It's 0-0 from Law. So they're basically they're on the start-finish straight. And behind is Quoselin, and Kumpu is 2/10 of him. Poggi is 6 from him, and Clifford is 4 from him. So basically there are four car trains starting from the position 19.
They get on board with Oselin as we look now, and yeah, you can see in the background just a continuous stream of lights. And I think that was Clifford just having a little look to the inside. I think he's still too far back to be trying to make any kind of moves. I think maybe that was more just to try and get an actual idea of where on the circuit he was, giving himself some extra vision over everybody else. But now we've got Kumpo looking very aggressive on the back of Oselin. What can he do? Lost a bit of speed there on the way in though, and now finds himself under attack from Poggi, as well as Clifford, as everybody weaving around in the background. They're nearly 3 wide as they came in. There was a brief moment of overlapping. As you were saying, this battle really continuing to rage on, and Dorber as well, a recovering driver, looking to try and apply pressure to the back. They've just split open a little bit, but I imagine it's going to close right back up Dorber again with that slightly different line. looking to the inside, just trying to apply pressure to Clifford. Again, Clifford, another driver, kind of out of space at the moment. He's normally would be further up the grid, obviously, with that incident earlier on, and picked up a lot of damage. In a very, very early pit, so that car probably running a little bit slower than it normally would. They've all spread out ever so slightly coming into this final bit. Kabaki and Ranieri. So the Stealth Datsun, as I was seeing it was called in the chat. The Stealth Datsun just about trying to hold off Ranieri. I'm trying to look at the lap times actually in comparison. And yeah, there's no way that car is actually running without lights on. I think it is purely a graphical error. Because it just disappears and it just immediately just vanishes. As soon as the lights of the Mustang behind it are not on that car, it just vanishes. And Valentine Barrier as well, still being chased down very much by Naldi. As you were saying, towards the end of this race, the fights have come back to life big time. I think Barrier probably starting to struggle on the tyres. What is going on there? I'm only imagining that is Valentine moving right out of the way to try and remove any chance of a tow. But Naldi, can he do it just on pure grunt alone? As you were saying earlier on, that car does have a much higher top speed than any other car. And I think that is a sign of tyres starting to give up. Valentine Barrier loses the position. Position gone. He now drops back to third place. Naldi up into second. Again, the fresher tyres just being able to do it. Jumping back.
Yeah, and it's once again for all of the drivers that are competing tomorrow. So 35 minutes is quite a lot of time in Kyalami. So for one tires, it's just getting slower. The car is getting slower with the tires that old already. But we saw that for Jardier it didn't disturb him that much, so he was still able to go 141.2, I think, all the time, with the 35, even 40 minutes old tires. But of course, it's hard to compare these tier 1 guys with the guys from the other tiers. So better do the change in the middle of the race if you're able to do it. But as we talked, so Valentin Barrier did a great job. So he was in the lead of the race after all of the pits, but unfortunately he was not able to hold it on the lead, because Aiden was able to overtake him, and also the same with Naldi. That was able to overtake Barrier. I think that the thing was that he was willing to protect the inside, so Naldi is not going inside, and then it seems so that he overbraked a bit. So he braked a bit too late, so he overbraked and then drive it too deep into the corner, and Naldi just went through the inside, and he was in front of him before the next corner already. And if for those ones who are saying that they don't like nice night races, show them these videos and ask them once again if they don't like it.
I've just
noticed
noticed
to get that proper racing with that much cars.
Just noticed who's joined this battle. Giardier has just got involved. He's just gone side by side. I think that was with Clifford, and Clifford ended up out in the gravel a little bit. So I wonder if maybe Giardier obviously knows he's not going to be able to get back up to the front where he needs to be, but he's going full Clio Cup at the moment and just absolutely trying to charge forward. Just under a minute left on the timer now, and just looking at where the leader is. So I think we're going to get one more lap after this before the timer goes to 0. But Jard's now up and involved in this battle. But this is a lovely squabble going on.
It was 5 minutes ago, I think, when Jardier was 5 seconds behind them. And I was willing to say maybe he will join it, but I was like, oh, it's 5 minutes left, so it's 3 laps most probably, so I don't think that there's a chance. But it seems that the guys in the front is that much fighting with each other, so they're really slower. So let's see how much cars Jardier could overtake.
256.
Kumpo, I think.
Yeah, that was Kumpo, and he's now going to lose a position. They're 3 wide going up over the top of the hill, and that's what we were saying about having an incident that high up on the circuit. There were 3 wide. It was just never going to work there for all those drivers at once. And yeah, Kumpo really did lose out big time on that one. Ended up being muscled off the circuit. But this little squabble continues to rage on. It really is some proper scrappy racing going on at this point. I think they sort of almost know it's the last race of the season. Let's just throw everything at it they possibly can. Jardier looking to the inside. Does have a slight overlap on Dorber. Oh, a bit more than a rub there as well.
Yeah, but the thing is, where can you see that much Hondas in one place, right? There were three Hondas. There was Honda 3 wide. So
I mean,
where can you see Honda 3 wide in the ACC right now? Almost never.
I was about to say,
never. So.
Lots of supermarket car parks in the evening. You'll see multiple Hondas parked up next to each other, usually with young lads driving them. But no, when it comes to actual racing, yeah, you very, very rarely see a huge stack of Hondas. And now it's just an absolute plethora of cars. Hang on, we're going to have to go across to the winner. Aidan Walsingham coming across the line. And he is not only our final round winner, our championship winner as well. Naldi coming across the line in third place, closely followed by Valentin Barrier. We are going to cut back to the mega battle that's going on because it is still very much the place to keep an eye on. Jard's looking to gain another position. He was side by side up this part of the circuit just a minute ago and he got lucky, but he's going to be on the outside. He's going to try and go all the way around the outside of Poggy. Can he do it? I don't think he's quite going to have the legs, although saying that, he does seem to have the overlap still. He's going to be on the outside here. And in fact, he manages to get there and cut the nose off of Poggy as well. He manages to get there. Poggy looking to retaliate, but not quite able to. So Jards now finds himself inside the top 20. He still needs another 10 places, but there's not that much time and not enough cars left. I think this has more just been a bit of a case of just maybe showing sort of towards the back of the grid just how quick he can be. But I know he'll be devastated to not be bringing the championship home. Aidan has already gone back to the pits. But there we go. Here's a couple of drivers out there lapping together. And that is Gilliot, who is... He is BFR. So it's both BF Racing doing their in-lap together. Very nice to see sort of, you know, teammates having a bit of a cruise together, celebrating. Valentine Barrier out there.
And that's a thing that I think that we haven't checked this year, but BF Racing was in the second place before this race, and for sure with this finish they will also finish in the second place and team standings. So
yeah, I think in regards to team, I think Veloce has kind of run away with it, but second place is still very much up for grabs. So that is the end of round 7, and that is the end of season 17. It has been an absolutely amazing season, again brought to you by Apex Online Racing, powered by our lovely Patreon members. I have been Tim360 Lun, and also now joined in the booth by Martin as well. I very much hope you decide you want to come and join me again next season, Martin. That'd be absolutely fantastic if you do. But while we are just waiting for people to stack up into the Discord for a bit of a chinwag, we should hopefully going to get a bit of a plethora of people to talk to. Hopefully we should get the top 3 finishers, and also should hopefully get the championship winning guys as well. But while we're here and just waiting for them to kind of get themselves out of that post-race energy, let's have a quick run through the grid as they came across the line. So Aidan Walsingham finished in first place, Naldi in second, Valentine Barrier in third, Gulliot in fourth, Kubaki fifth in the Stealth Datsun, Ranieri in sixth, Victor Martin seventh, Jorge in eighth, Matt York ninth, great finish for Matt York there as well. 10th place was Buzov, Zoo in 11th, Fazakas 12th, Pap in 13th, Crows 14th, Lawrence in 15th place. Continuing on down the order. Ooh, I'm suddenly getting lots of clicky noises. 16th place was Craig Law. Walter Billin in 17th. Ursulin in 18th place. Giardier 19th place. Poggy 20th. Dorber 21st. Clifford 22nd. Kumpo 23rd. Delucia in 24th place. Sandro 25th. And Savic in 26th. And actually ended up finishing a lap down. So that was obviously due to that incident earlier on in the race. But while we are waiting for those big brave soldiers to come and join us, let's move over to a slightly nicer looking screen again. And we have no music playing. That's the main thing. And let's see if anyone is brave enough. At the moment, no one has come to join us yet, which I'm very surprised. I thought Aiden would be in here like a silver bullet. I thought he would be in here immediately. Here he is. Right, let's drag in not only our race 7 winner, but our season 17 winner as well. Let's drag him in for a bit of a double celebration. Aiden Walsingham, what an end to season 17 it has been for you. It looked like you had lost it right near the end, but as it turns out, a stop-go penalty for Jardier sort of handed you back into contention. What an absolute fantastic end of the season.
Yeah, didn't have it on the bingo sheets. Obviously, started the race with backing him up in mind, but even doing so, we were still pulling away from. I mean, what was it? You'd like P11 or something. Like, even if I back him up to P11, I need to sit with him to keep him there. So after a few laps, I thought, no, that's not going to work. I'll just push and give him incentive to push, and it worked out. He ended up pushing too hard on the pit entry. Looked like something wrong with the braking or something, but it's so unlucky for him because he had this one in the bag.
Well, essentially, it is very similar to you. Obviously, you had a completely dropped round, obviously due to going off and taking part in other esports. And obviously, essentially, this has been his drop round. Obviously, it wasn't intentional. Much like yourself, obviously, you were doing it for sort of other reasons. But yeah, obviously, just a case of making that mistake. But me and Martin were discussing the fact that it is quite a hard pit to get yourself down to the right speed. You have to do a lot of your braking while you're still actually on the live circuit. Would you agree with us on that? That getting your speed down before the entrance is quite difficult here at Kyalami?
It depends how you are with traffic. Like if you've got cars quite close behind, then it can feel like brake checking them a little bit because you brake before you reach the white line. And obviously everyone's pushing. What's the corner? Cheetah. Everyone's pushing that exit as fast as they can, going on the grass, and you don't want to be hard on the brakes right in front of someone who's got no control of their front tires.
That's a very good shout. Martin, have you got any questions for Aiden?
Yeah, for sure. So before the pits, you were leading the race, but then Valentin did the undercut, going into the pits into I think it was 20 minutes into the race, and then after the pits coming out, you were behind him. So maybe you can describe a bit more your let's say feelings or the strategy what you had when you saw that you were behind him. Did you thought that you will still let's say overtake him because of the tires at the end of the race, or you were you think that you need to overtake him at that point already?
Yeah, I was quite confident I'd get past him knowing the tire advantage. I went a couple laps past the halfway point. I think I boxed with about 27 minutes to go, thereabouts. So knowing that his tires would be nearly twice as old as mine by the end of the race, I would definitely have gotten around him at some point, whether that was under braking or him just having a bad exit somewhere. So with relative confidence, came up behind him and took it easy, brought the tyres into the window, and then put him under pressure for 3 laps. And I think he made a mistake in the end. I can't remember what it was that allowed me to get by him. So, yeah, got the job done.
Yeah, but so what's the from your opinion, what's the let's say the optimum time that you can drive in Kyalami with one tire? So basically, when at what point you need to slow down your pace because it's getting more slippery with those tires?
We don't really have that in ACC. You kind of push the tires to their limit, and the tires just handle it. It's just the nice thing about ACC as a simulator that the tires are designed to handle whatever you throw at them, which is quite wonderful. So yeah, I don't think there's ever a time where you need to step it back a little bit, look after the tires, unless it's like really hot. If it's like 34 ambient, then you might want to look after the tires through. I can't remember what that corner's called. It's like the S's in sector 2. You might want to take it easy through the right hander there so you don't blister the front right, but at the front left even. But most cases.
But still, at one point, the lap times is getting slower, right? So I think I started to seeing it at somewhere around the half of the race, because Jardier, for example, was driving 141.2, I think, and you with the new tires were driving 140.45, something like that. So basically, there was almost a second difference, because the fuel was the same, so it's only on the tires. Right, so.
Yeah. Normally splitting these races like perfectly down the middle is optimal, but it really depends on strategy overall. If you have a car that's only a second behind you, you don't want to give them the opportunity to overcut, because a one lap overcut can be the difference of losing your position or not, because that first lap on a fresh set of tyres is really slow. You're probably half a second, 6/10 of a second slower than usual. So that combined with a slightly better pit stop, and you end up overtaking someone with the overcut.
Happy days.
It's
Nice bit of insight from you there, Aidan. I'm going to have to cut it short a little bit, only because we still have 3 people waiting to have interviews as well. Aidan, just before we quickly call it a day with you, you are again the championship for Apex Online Racing, season 17. Is there anyone you want to give a shout out to? Friends, family, sponsors? Just that last couple of seconds to quickly get it done.
Obviously, shout out to Veloce and all the cool people there, and Jardia for such an awesome season. It's been an absolute pleasure fighting Jard with tooth and nail every single round. It's been absolutely amazing. We were just saying before this, the fighting has been fantastic, and it was always clean. There was never a problem, and I've bloody loved it. So.
Fantastic stuff. Aidan, thank you ever so much for joining us in the booth again. We are going to move over to our second place driver now, though. So thank you ever so much for joining us.
Thank you. Take care, guys.
Thank you.
Right. And I believe it was Naudi that crossed the line in second place, unless, Martin, you're about to tell me differently. I think I might have just lost my mind a little bit. I'm sure it was Naudi.
Yep, and Valentin Burrer on the third, but yeah, I commented and asking him to them both to join, but I don't see any of them. So as Jardir is already here, so maybe we can just give him the word as the second place winner overall, and then let's check if some of them is joining.
They were hiding in different interview boxes for whatever reason, but I've got Naudi. He's hovering. I'm ready to drop him in. So second place driver Naudi, ready to go. Naudi, can you hear us? Oh, he's muted at the moment. We'll wait and see. There he is.
Properly. Hello.
Hello, absolutely fantastic race for you this evening. Obviously, coming away with second place in the final round. Absolutely fantastic pace all the way throughout. The fastest of the new Mustangs by quite a significant margin, and you were battling up there with the best of them the whole way through. But obviously, second place at the end, absolutely great finish. Talk us through your race a little bit, obviously, because it was the first time in the dark this season.
Well, first of all, in the dark, I'm not really bothered by it. Well, we can have some settings to help us out, and also I'm not really bothered by the dark conditions, so that was pretty much not a big deal for me. For the race, well, I saw that these 3 mental guys were were fighting like madmans at the beginning, so I was like, okay, I'm going to stay behind. Maybe they're going to do, some contacts, and I can try to take advantage from it. Well, they didn't, but still, it allowed me to keep them in check, and yeah, to try different strategies. So that was the main goal. And at the end of the day, well, to be honest, I think I deserved maybe like P4, P3 if I battled, but like Valentin and Jards gave me like Christmas presents. I think it's yeah, I didn't have much to do because yeah, Valentin missed his corner, so I just had to take him really easily. Even though yeah, if he didn't did his mistake, I wouldn't have been able to take him. And well, Jards had a stop and go, so that makes the thing way more easier, doesn't it? So yeah, at the end of the day, I'm really happy. It wasn't expected at all. Just started training like 4 hours ago. So yeah, overall, I'm happy with it.
Fantastic stuff. Martin, do you have any questions for Matteo?
Yeah, so congratulations on the second place today, and most probably the third in the overall is even better for you. But I was really frustrated when I saw that Michael Thomas was not able to join. So how about you? Was it easier for you, or you were also waiting for that fight for the third position overall today?
Well, obviously, I wanted to have a little bit of fight because, yeah, I think Michael deserved the third place too. I was a bit, a bit sad that he wasn't able to come to the race, but yeah, obviously, it makes the thing way more easier if you have your main competitor not here. But result-wise, it's not a bad thing. I won't lie, but fun-wise, I would have liked a battle. I'm sure he would have um, at least be with us for the fight of the podium. So yeah, that could have been something great, but unfortunately we didn't have the chance to have that. So yeah, it's a bit sad, but it is what it is.
Yeah,
So
sometimes when
is
it comes to
there
the... Oh, no, carry on, Martin.
yeah. So yeah, is there anyone that you're willing to say thank you or to shout out to anyone at the end of the season?
Well, same thing as last week. Thanks to my mates and so on, but also thanks to Cristiano Ranieri, which who helped me build the setup. I actually used this setup in quali. I used two setups because I was a bit lost, and yeah, he helped me understand a bit more the car and so on. So that's really great from him, and yeah, shout out to him because yeah, he helped me really a lot.
Fantastic stuff. Thank you ever so much, Matteo, for joining us in the booth. We are going to grab our third place driver in now as well, Valentine Barrier. So thank you ever so much for joining us here in the final round of the championship. And hopefully we'll see you next season.
I hope so. Thanks, and see you next time, I guess.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Right, let's find a Valentine Barrier. Here he is. Valentine Barrier, after a very, very brave early pit stop, it looked for a little while like it might be your race to come away in pole position, but sadly, I think the tyres just maybe got a little bit tired out towards the end of the race and ended up in third position, but still absolutely fantastic finish. Give us a bit of a talk through sort of your mentality going through that race.
Yeah, I knew like if I wanted to overtake them, I had to do it by the pit stop by trying something with a strategy because they're just so much faster in acceleration and in a straight line than the Ferrari. So I took the opportunity of a mistake through the second to last corner to have split of a second decision to pit. So I did that. Then I was pushing really really hard for a couple of laps. Had a few had one pretty big slide which didn't help with the tires, but I was pushing really hard. I was doing some decent lap times, which was enough for me to get in front of Aiden and technically in the lead. But yeah, like then I made a mistake, which allowed after a few laps I made a mistake which allowed Aiden to go through, and at this point my tires were already starting to be on the not very good side. I was already having some troubles, and I think that even without that mistake, Aiden would have been through because he would have been able to stick behind me in the last corner, and then there's nothing I can do in a straight line from this point. But yeah, I had to try something. So
Well, it was a bold strategy, and I would say still coming away with third place overall. Especially as you were saying, in a straight line, you were battling against not only the Aston Martin, but then you obviously had Naldi as well in the very very quick in a straight line Mustang. So being
yep,
able to hold on to third place, I think, is very commendable, especially in such a high skill tier that there is obviously in tier one. As you know, you are called aliens for a reason, simply because you lot are so incredibly quick. And the strategy, as it might have been a very split second decision to come into the pits, but it obviously worked out in your favour in the end. Martin, do you have any questions for Valentine?
Yeah, sure. So how it was for you to jump into the, if I'm not wrong, in the middle of the season, right?
Yeah,
So in 10.
I only did the last 3 races. So at first I had not planned to do the season at all. But then I had some free time, and I decided to do the last 3 races to have a go. Because why not?
So how much of the practice that you did for these 3 races that you raced basically? So
Not much. Probably about an hour or so for each of the races for those 3 weeks. That's about it.
I think quite a lot of you sort of absolutely high end, like sort of top end guys. I know I've spoke before, and a lot of you almost have the circuits pretty much just saved into your brains, almost like a
Yeah,
hard drive at
it's
this point. Like it's
can do it
almost
in
like
my sleep.
yeah, pretty much a case of jump on, see how much fuel you're burning, check your tires are the
Yeah,
right kind of temperatures, and off you go. Which it does blow my mind. I mean, I think even for me to be significantly slower, I need to practice for hours and hours and hours to make sure I kind of get it right. But I say that is the difference between, I say, people like us sat in the booth and people like you that are up there at the very at the very tippy top of the game, absolutely going for it. Obviously you joined us late this season. Are you intending on coming into next season as well, or are you sort of playing it by ear again?
sure. We'll see. We'll see what the tracks are like, and I might give it a go. Yeah.
Nice, nice, very nice. Is there anyone you want to give a quick shout out to, Valentin, before we call this one a day?
Shout out to my viewers on my stream.
Oh, nice.
There you
Well,
go.
fantastic. Well, thank you ever so much, Valentin, and obviously, absolutely great finish for you today, coming home in third place. Absolutely well deserved, and a great strategy call from you in the end.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
thank you. Bye.
Right. And that is the end of all of it. It is the end of season 17. It has been a season of highs and lows and absolutely out of this world kind of things have happened, even just in this last race as well. Obviously, we almost thought for certain that at one point Aiden was 100% going to win. Then, obviously, with this dropped round, it then seemed almost 100% that Jardier was going to win. And then in the end, it all turned around in Aiden's favour, and he ended up coming away with the championship win, the defending champion, 2 times on the trot now. So it just wasn't meant to be. Although it did get pointed out to me by one of the coordinators and sort of one of the bigwigs in the chat. Who was it? It was Heiko, actually, and that's a name that sort of people that have been here a long time will know. Heiko mentioned that Jardier won season 1 back in 2019 in the Bentley. So he was basically saying, if Jardier wins, then that's it, full circle. We can just close the whole lot down. We'll close Apex Online Racing, and that was it. So maybe it was a case of Jardier was aware of this as well and decided to, no, I can't win, just in case it is actually the end of Apex Online Racing, which it isn't. I hope everyone at home realizes I am obviously messing around. That is not the case. We're not going anywhere. Apex Online Racing, I think, will probably be here till the end of time. I think so. It's been an absolute pleasure again being in the booth, and obviously very nice to be joined by you, Martin. Obviously for the latter half of the season, it's been an absolute pleasure having you in the booth. I think you fit in absolutely perfectly. So always good to have a co-commentator. Obviously a huge shout out to the entire community, whether you be just somebody that is just in the Discord or just peruses the website in bits and pieces. You are all massively appreciated. Massive shout out to the guys behind the scenes as well, putting all the bits and pieces together. I want to give a quick special shout out to, let's get the name up so I don't get it wrong. It is, why can't I see it? Why has it all gone wrong? I've lost the name. Hang on 1 second. I need to get this right, otherwise I'm going to mess it up. Is it no one else? Why does my blooming thing always do this? Basically every single delicious and lovely looking thumbnail that we ever get is always done by the same guy, and it is always absolutely fantastic. Big shout out to Nins as well, and everybody else, Morphe, all the guys behind the scenes that have been making it an absolute pleasure to do this for so long. It's been an absolute honour doing this season once again. And obviously, I think it's my first season at Tier 1 on my own. I can't remember now. Maybe? Losing the plot. I don't know anymore, Martin. It's been a very long day. It's been a very long season.
Yeah, I fully agree with you, and yeah, from my side, I wanted to say a big thank you also to you for having me in these last 4 rounds, and hopefully also to do it together with you next year. And as you said, big shout out also to all of the other people that are doing the things behind the scenes, and also for the stewards, because we have a live stewarding. That means that the real live guys are sitting and watching the incidents and giving the penalties. So we are those two that are able to talk with you and talk with the drivers. So that's really nice. So just to, I think, to sum up a bit. So it was a great season, and we saw quite a twist at the end of the season. So from my side, let's say to summarize everything, then I would want once again to repeat the top 3 in the standings that we have. Is Aidan Walsingham as the winner of this 17 IR season Tier 1. Then on the second place, Jaroslav Honzik or Jardir. And on the third place, Matteo Naldi. And on the team standings, Veloce Esports the first. The winners, BF Racing on the second place, and Team Zero, I think, would be the third one in the standings. So yeah, so that's it also from me. Once again, thank you for having me. Thank you for all of the spectators, and especially for those ones that are also the Patreon supporters, because we are able to get these live streams for you. Thanks for our Patreons, and then yeah, so happy upcoming holidays. Yeah, so Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year, and see you in 2025.
Fantastic, guys. See you all in 2025. Good night.